Developing this morning, at least 16 people are dead and as many as 50 others hurt after a mass shooting in Lewiston, Maine. Right now, police don't have anyone in custody. It's been about 12 hours since the shooting started at a bar and a bowling alley. An entire county, plus at least one surrounding town, is under a shelter-in-place order right now. Schools across the state are closed. Overnight, people gathered outside a nearby hospital searching for answers about their loved ones.
We've heard nothing. They won't tell us if he's alive, if he's in critical condition, if he's passed. They won't tell us anything. A little freaked out. I want to know. You know what I mean? He's a young man. They shouldn't leave us hanging like this. Just tell us.
Right now, police are looking for this man, Robert Card. They say he is a person of interest. They found his car about 15 minutes away from where the shooting happened, just one town over. We're expecting to hear more from police around 8:30 this morning. According to the Gun Violence Archive, this mass shooting in Maine marks 565 so far this year. Of those, 31 have been deadly. We'll be following this story all morning long as it develops. You can always get updates on the 9 News app or 9 News Plus.
It is now 6:03 and new overnight. 2 people are dead after a barricade situation in northern Colorado. Police were called to a home on Emerald Lake Street near Severance for reports of gunshots. They say a kid or teenager shot a car across the street, then barricaded himself in a home with a relative. Police also heard a shot from inside. A SWAT team eventually went inside about 5 hours later. They found 2 people dead. One had shot themselves. So far, no names have been released.
A chiropractor based in Fort Collins is facing 2 criminal charges for touching his patients inappropriately. And we've just learned a woman reported him back in 2019, but the state didn't do anything to his license. And the investigation into Dr. Brian Rorick didn't start until 10 months ago when a second woman reported him. Her story was similar to the report filed back in 2019. Court documents say the state didn't do anything the first time around because there wasn't enough cause to move forward. But investigators say the state board also told Rorick they were concerned with how he was interacting with female patients. Now investigators think there may be more victims. Rorick turned himself in last week. He was let out on bond. His attorney says Rorick is not seeing patients as this case continues.
The man accused of breaking into a crypt and stealing body parts in Jefferson County is now under arrest. John Belknap is accused of abuse of a corpse, burglary, and theft. Investigators say he smashed open a mausoleum and stole remains from a 104-year-old coffin. They don't think that Belknap had any connection to the mausoleum. Deputies say this is not the first time that someone has broken into that crypt. Back in 2000, someone stole remains, but investigators got them back and restored the mausoleum. Deputies say the 2 thefts are not related.
Taking right now, a man from Colorado Springs has now pleaded guilty for storming the Capitol on January 6th. Prosecutors say Jonathan Grace was one of the people who tried to push their way past police to break into the Capitol. Court documents say as police attempted to clear out rioters, Grace remained at the front of the mob. They say he and the mob pushed against police officers and that one officer could be heard screaming in pain. This week, he pleaded guilty to 1 count of assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers. His sentencing is set for January.
After 3 weeks, the U.S. House of Representatives has a new speaker. Representative Mike Johnson from Louisiana is a far-right Republican. Now, in the past, he voted for a national abortion ban and opposed gay marriage. Johnson also helped lead the effort in Congress to stop the certification of the 2020 election results. That was the reason that Colorado Congressman Ken Buck voted against a different candidate, Jim Jordan. But he tells CNN he changed his mind.
You think it's okay for him or any other speaker candidate to have voted to decertify the last election, which was free and fairly won by Joe Biden?
I don't think it's okay, Abby. I think it's a mistake, but I think people make mistakes and still can be really good speakers.
The House was without a speaker for 21 days. That is the longest gap since 1962. The House has 2 big pieces of legislation to work on: an aid package for Israel and Ukraine and a plan to fund the government before it runs out of money.
New this morning, the White House is asking for money to help prevent people from dying of an opioid overdose. The Biden administration is asking for more than $1.5 billion to curb illicit fentanyl. The money would go towards grants for states, territories, and tribes to help support addiction treatment, overdose prevention, and recovery services. New data from the journal Addiction shows overdose deaths involving fentanyl and a stimulant increased 50 times between 2010 and 2021, which is the most recent year of data. State leaders in Colorado want more pregnant women to have a choice over their health care. They know many are looking for help from a doula as an advocate, but can't always afford it.
Yeah, our Anusha Roy joins us now in studio. Anusha, making this more affordable is going to be a long process.
Yeah, it definitely is a long process because we are now talking about changing insurance policies here in Colorado, including coverage of doula services. This process has already started because right now families, they are spending hundreds to thousands of dollars out of pocket. State lawmakers are really focused right now on expanding coverage for Medicaid patients, and that would help out 30,000 moms. The state has already set aside money to cover half of the cost of the changes. Now they're talking to stakeholders and the community, and then this spring they're going to be going to Medicaid to essentially ask, will you do the same? That means families could get an answer about if doula services will be covered by next summer.
There is a big need from many communities in Colorado, especially communities of color, where women really do need the services of a doula. And because of language barriers, so many times these women don't feel comfortable going to the doctor alone or even delivering a baby on their own. They need that emotional support for many, many reasons. So that's one of the reasons we decided to run this piece of legislation.
Beyond Medicaid, the Division of Insurance is now studying the cost benefit of making some of these changes to health plans. So that means that there are no state regulated plans that cover doula services right now. It will ultimately be up to the legislature if they want to make that change for state regulated insurance plans. The same bill is also setting up a doula scholarship so that more people can get into this field. We're going to have more on that coming up at 7 a.m. on KTVD.
I was fortunate enough to have a doula for both of my births, and I wish that every mom could have that option because they're just so knowledgeable in a different way than doctors.
100%, right? And that is really centered around having that advocate, especially if, you know, you're dealing with a language barrier or you don't feel comfortable in a medical setting to question or you don't know what questions to ask, you know, but unfortunately it's out of reach for a lot of people. This is an ongoing conversation in the state, but, you know, it is something that people are going to have to wait because there's a lot of moving parts here and changes that have to be made.
Sure. I would like to see that we're moving at least in the right direction. All right, Anusha, thank you. Let's get checking your forecast now with Ed.
One thing you want to know about the weather, look at this weekend. 37 degrees on your Saturday. Make your plans. Rain and snow showers. Colder still on Sunday. 30 degrees with a chance for snow showers.